It's precisely 1:15. This is the news on Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News is edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe, read by Sabrina Zawahir. The headlines. Litro Gas Company resumes the process of issuing gas cylinders. Minister Manusha Nanayakkara says salaries of state or private sector employees will not be cut. The state of emergency revoked with effect from last night. The Justice Minister says 21st Amendment to the Constitution would be presented to the Cabinet next week. People affected by the shortage of oil and gas stage protests. And in world news, the WHO says monkeypox cases confirmed in 11 countries. And in sports news, ATP and WTA strip ranking points from Grand Slam over ban for Russians and Belarusians. Now the local news in detail. The Litro Gas Company said today that they have resumed the process of releasing 80,000 domestic gas cylinders per day. Chairman of the company, Vijitha Herath, said that 3,900 metric ton gas shipment, which was brought to the country, was unloaded yesterday. He said the consignment of gas is sufficient for 6 days of the country's requirement. He further said $7 million will be paid for another 2 shipments on Monday and will be able to assure delivery of LP gas for another 2 weeks. He added 50,000 domestic gas cylinders will be distributed in Colombo and Gampaha districts today. Minister Manusha Nanayakkara says there is no intention to cut salaries of state or private sector employees. However, he said it is important to curtail unnecessary expenditure at the ministries. He said, under the prevailing situation in the country, everyone should work together for the benefit of the country. The state of emergency has been revoked with effect from last night. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa declared a state of emergency in the country on the 6th of May, according to the powers vested in him by the Constitution, in order to ensure political stability, which is a vital condition in overcoming the current socio-economic crisis in the country. Justice Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa said yesterday that the 21st Amendment to the Constitution will be passed as soon as possible. The minister said that 21st Amendment to the Constitution will be re-enacted to eliminate political instability. He said the 21st Amendment to the Constitution would be drafted and presented to the Cabinet next week, after which it would be passed in Parliament. This news is brought to you by Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing local news. People affected by the shortage of oil and gas have staged more protests in several areas to urge the authorities to ensure supplies without delay. Accordingly, traffic on the Navala Road was disrupted by a demonstration near the Open University demanding fuel. Colombo Horana Road was blocked near the Piliandala police station by a group of protesters. Traffic at Borella Junction was hampered by a demonstration demanding fuel. Minister Nalin Fernandez says priority will be given to increase local productions. He said attention will be paid on properly managing importation of essential goods. He further said that discussions will be held with the Finance Ministry to import essential goods without a delay. Minister of Foreign Affairs says that several steps will be taken to minimize expenditure at the ministry. Several measures, including stopping of capital expenditure, transferring of officials at foreign embassies to Sri Lanka without placements, and closure of foreign embassies temporarily, will take place. The Foreign Ministry said further measures to curtail expenditure will be taken in consultation with the Prime Minister's office. The Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force Training Squadron ships Kashima and Shimakaze, which recently arrived at the port of Colombo on a 3-day visit, departed the island today, concluding their official visit. Upon their arrival in Colombo on 19th May, the training squadron ships were welcomed by the Sri Lanka Navy in accordance with naval tradition. Kashima is a 143-meter-long training ship manned by a crew of 350, whereas Shimakaze is 150 meters long with a complement of 170. With that, we conclude the local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Parliamentary Committee on Public Enterprises has instructed Litrogas to focus on supplying gas to highly residential areas. Litrogas officials were summoned to COPE yesterday. It was revealed that $120 million Indian line of credit will be used to purchase gas as well. Accordingly, Litrogas was advised to supply 60% of its gas cylinders to highly residential areas. That was main news.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
This is Watchlight.
National Water Supply and Drainage Board said a 10-hour water cut will be in place in several areas in Colombo today. They said the water cut will be imposed from 10 p.m. today to 8 a.m. tomorrow due to an essential distribution network improvement work. The board said water supply to Colombo 12, 13, 14 and 15 will be interrupted, while water supply will be at low pressure in Colombo 1 and 11. That was Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
The headlines of the world news. The WHO says monkeypox cases confirmed in 11 countries. Millions of Australians head to polls to decide the country's Prime Minister and ruling party. President Biden's plan to end U.S. migrant expulsion policy blocked. Now the world news in detail. About 80 cases of monkeypox have been confirmed in 11 countries, the World Health Organization says, warning that more cases are likely to be reported. The WHO says that another 50 suspected cases are being investigated without naming any countries. Earlier, infections were confirmed in Italy, Sweden, Spain, Portugal, the US, Canada and the UK, where the first European case was reported. Monkeypox is most common in remote parts of Central and West Africa. Australians are voting in an election that will decide the country's Prime Minister and ruling party. Polls predict a tight race between incumbent Prime Minister Scott Morrison from the Liberal National Coalition and Labour leader Anthony Albanese. The election will likely be a referendum on Morrison, who has led Australia through a pandemic and natural disasters. A U.S. judge has blocked plans by Joe Biden's administration to lift a policy allowing migrants to be swiftly expelled at the Mexico border over concerns about spreading COVID. District Judge Robert Sumhayes granted an injunction to Republican state attorneys challenging the halting of checks known as Title 42. The policy introduced by Donald Trump in 2020 was due to expire on Monday. The U.S. Department of Justice said it would appeal. That ends World News. Prior to concluding the headlines of the World News once again, the WHO says monkeypox cases confirmed in 11 countries. Millions of Australians head to polls to decide the country's Prime Minister and ruling party. President Biden's plan to end U.S. migrant expulsion policy blocked. That ends World News. Moving on to development news. The Export Development Board came under spotlight at World Trade Promotions Awards 2022 as it bagged the runner-up title for Inclusive and Sustainable Trade. The EDB was recognized for demonstrating competency and excellence internationally under the category of Best Initiative for Inclusive and Sustainable Trade for its SME Export Coaching Program, which was conducted in late 2021. That was Development News.
Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
In sports news, it's tennis. The World Tennis Association said players will not receive ranking points at Wimbledon following the decision to ban Russian and Belarusian competitors from the tournament. Players from the countries have been banned by the All England Lawn Tennis Club from all UK grass court events after the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The International Tennis Federation will not grant ranking points in the junior and wheelchair events at Wimbledon, which starts on 27th June. That was Sports News.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
International Institute of Health Sciences has entered into an agreement with the Western Australian government to establish the Western Australian Certificate of Education in Sri Lanka for the first time. The agreement was signed by the CEO of IIHS, Dr. Kitsiriya Durisinghe, and the school curriculum and standard authorities Patrick Gunnett on behalf of the Western Australian government. That was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic News, courtesy of
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
The auction offerings at the Colombo Tea Auction increased further this week. A total of 6.78 million kilograms came under the hammer. Forbes and Walker Tea Brokers said in its latest tea auction report there was good general demand through mostly at easier rates, particularly for the teas in the below best and poorer categories. That was Economic News.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
The Weather Report.
Met Department says showers will occur at times in Sabaragamuwa and central provinces. Several spells of showers will occur in western and northwestern provinces and in Galle and Mathura districts. Strong winds about 40 to 50 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the western slope of the Central Hills, northern, north central and northwestern provinces and in Hambantota and Trincomalee districts. That was the weather report. Prior to concluding this bulletin of news, the headlines once again. Litro Gas Company resumes the process of issuing gas cylinders. Minister Manusha Nanak says salaries of state or private sector employees will not be cut. The state of emergency revoked with effect from last night. The Justice Minister says 21st Amendment to the Constitution would be presented to the Cabinet next week. People affected by the shortage of fuel and gas stage protests. With that, we conclude the news.